y'all. Welcome to the Abortion Queen of the South podcast. My name's Kate Morgan, and as usual, I will be your host today. If you haven't already, please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and check out my show notes and the links in my bio. So, recently I have been on a K-pop kick, and as some of you know, I do live outside of Atlanta, so we have a huge Korean population here. So, I'm fairly familiar with the culture, but I was just looking for some new music to listen to at work, and K-pop came up, so it's basically like K-pop and Taylor Swift now. But I came across an interesting concept a while ago, and my research reminded me, called South Korea's 4B movement, and it's just reminded me that women are just collectively over it and just fed up in general. So women are fed up. Between Roe v. Wade being overturned in America, women protesting against oppression in Iran with the Women Life Freedom Movement, and many other actions across the globe, it's safe to say that women are just done. However, the smartest, most interesting, and most effective movement that I've seen in South Korea is in the world is South Korea's 4B movement. So what is the 4B movement in South Korea? South Korean women are increasingly sick of being treated as second-class citizens and are refusing to date, marry, have sex with men, or have children. By embracing life as single women, they decenter men from romantic relationships, deny the use of their bodies as reproductive centers, and focus on their own lives. Women in South Korea aren't just fighting the patriarchy, they're simply done. They're done living in a society that does not serve or respect them. They also distance themselves from all men in their lives too. Honestly, I'm here for it. The 4B movement also doesn't try to change men as the feminist movements in other countries do. We've seen this a lot in the US. Instead, they just don't deal with them unless they have to. And as someone who has dated many men and used to make content about dating, I can vouch that this is actually an effective strategy. Instead of trying to change a man, it's generally better to just leave. Men are stubborn. They don't want to change unless they absolutely have to. And honestly, can you blame them? Because I sure as hell don't. Well, there is pressure on women to be beautiful in any country. That pressure is even more intense in South Korea. Plastic surgery and beauty products are commonplace in the culture, possibly more so than in the United States. As a K-pop fan, the standards are nearly unrealistic for Korean women. On top of that, they are expected to do the bulk of the housework, child rearing, and work full-time. But it doesn't stop there. Women are expected to defer to their fathers and husbands. There are also reports of gender-based violence being perpetrated by male and female offenders being sentenced differently depending on the perpetrator's gender. For men, that is usually a slap on the wrist, if anything at all, while women tend to have more severe punishments. There are also concerns about domestic violence, which is cited as commonplace in Korean society. The division of labor in the household is also a common issue. While this may seem less drastic, it is an equally important factor in a marriage. In many countries, it is still expected for women to do most of the child rearing and housework, if not all. If a woman has a child, she is the one expected to sacrifice her life and career. Like the United States, Korean women compete with men for jobs and enroll in college at higher rates. However, nowadays, instead of dropping out to marry and raise families, women are outpacing men in society, and their fragile little egos are hurt because they can't compete. Instead of being handed a participation trophy, as they have been for decades, men are expected to actually work and prove themselves. What a novel fucking concept. And South Korea also has the largest gender pay gap in the world at 31%. For comparison, in the US, ours is 16.9%. Similar to the United States, women are also discriminated against in the workplace, and pregnant women are often pressured to quit their jobs, including by employers. The results are interesting, to say the least, specifically leading to South Korea's lowest birth rate. Honestly, I don't blame them. After Roe v. Wade was overturned in the United States, my libido and desire to date, marry, and honestly have much to do with men tanked. Besides gay men, trans men, and the good men out there, it's better to just not deal with them unless you absolutely have to. While I would love to be swept off my feet and fall in love, get married, and find Prince or Princess Charming like any other woman, it's just becoming less appealing as I get older and realize that society generally views my value the same way that they view livestock. Well, having children has never appealed to me. It just appeals to me so much less. So why aren't people having kids? Firstly, some of us lack the ability and desire. I've known from a relatively young age that having children most likely would not be safe for me, nor would it be the right choice for me. While I love children in small doses, they are noisy, time consuming, expensive, and a burden unless someone loves and wants them. I also lacked a desire to birth a child that I would statistically have to bury if I didn't end up permanently disabled myself. I like being a happy, relatively healthy woman. Unlike critics, I know my family's medical history and it's no one's business. I've also heard of many, many terrifying stories of friends and family members who've had terrible pregnancies, and it just is not something I want to deal with. It just sounds terrible. However, many people in the US and South Korea want children. Sadly, many can't afford them due to costs related to the housing and day to day living. Children are becoming a luxury that few can afford. However, the South Korean government has had some solutions that are interesting, to say the least. One interesting concept in South Korea to encourage couples to have children is a high speed train that connects Seoul to the suburbs. Why? Quote, no one has time for babies with a 2-hour commute. While I have to applaud the ingenuity and give an A for effort, I'm not sure that this is the most effective approach. However, I'm all about improving infrastructure. But I don't know that this is really going to encourage people to have children. On that note, some companies are offering cash incentives to parents. Booyoung is offering $75,000 to parents for each child. The Lottie Group is offering a new car that seats between 7 and 9 people to families with more than 3 children free of charge. So what will help? Firstly, better family leave policies, childcare accessibility, and a culture where women are given the option will help. While shame and guilt can force some women into having children, many of us just won't cave. Instead of cash subsidies to individuals, investing in childcare, making housing in basic life experiences more affordable, and education would encourage people to have children. Actually, improving education quality in the US would help a lot, and I'm sure it would in South Korea too. Possibly more so than American women, South Korean women are hesitant to take parental leave because they can be penalized for their lack of productivity and contribution to the workplace. Why? While they were a little busy, having a baby, work wasn't exactly their first priority. If women have children, they likely sacrifice their careers. In both cultures, a parent is expected to quit their job and focus on their family. By default, that is generally the mother. Parental leave plays a part too. Unlike the United States, where only 35% of workers are employed at companies with paid leave and there is no paid parental leave, South Korea does offer a year and a half of paid leave. However, South Korea has one of the longest work weeks in the world in a culture that prioritizes work. Similar to America, someone's work displays their standing in society and determines how they are treated. No one wants to be viewed as a slacker. Similar to the US, women will make the right choice for them if they are given the option. Throwing cash at the problem isn't helping South Korea, and forcing women to have unwanted children by overturning the constitutional right in abortion in the United States isn't helping either. The cash incentive in South Korea is an interesting concept too. However, as mentioned, it's not necessarily that effective. Increased access to contraception and abortion also helps the country's birth rate. While this may seem counterintuitive, people do not like to be forced into having children that they are not ready for and did not want in the first place. Unlike the US, South Korea has reversed its ban on abortion in recent years. However, the most simple solution is to be better men. Is it that hard to be better men? I was lucky to be raised by an excellent father. Many people are not. A common sentiment in my research is that, quote-unquote, Korean men are beyond redemption. Both the South Korean and American governments have tried to blame feminism for low birth weight rates, the quote-unquote male loneliness epidemic, and other issues. However, most men deserve to be lonely because most of them suck. Most men really need to look at themselves and seriously ask themselves why the hell anyone would want to marry them. As someone who used to make content about dating and has dated men from many backgrounds, very few of them have anything to offer as a potential husband. I came close to getting married a few times, and I'll tell you right now, I am so glad that none of those worked out. So why should I pay for half of everything, birth children that I don't want in the first place, and do everything short of wiping a man's ass to get him to stick around when I probably don't even like him that much anyway? Because I'll tell you right now, the dating pool really sucks, and men are generally the ones to blame. As someone who's heavily involved in the reproductive rights movement as a content creator, activist, and clinic defender, it is incredibly hard to justify criticizing another country when the US is going in the wrong direction. However, there are so many similarities between the United States and South Korea concerning women's issues and reproductive rights. Similar to the US, there is a culture of fear around speaking out against issues regarding women. While we have the privilege of being more outspoken in the US, many South Korean women have reported a culture of fear regarding feminism in discussing women's issues. Even bringing up these issues can lead to someone asking if that person has a mental illness. I would be lying if I said I didn't want to meet the right person, fall in love, and get married. I would be lying if I said that I wasn't a hopeless romantic and I didn't want the courtship and to be wooed by the right person. As an openly bisexual woman, honestly, the person doesn't even matter. However, after coming close with a few men, it just seems more like a fantasy than a reality. While some women will settle and give up aspects of their lives, essentially being a man's maiden mother, having children that they never wanted, and making sacrifices that they never wanted to make, this should not be a societal expectation. As a woman, I should not be expected to give up my career, interests, and life for anyone, especially a damn man. As a woman, it becomes exhausting to be around women whose lives are centered around men too. Marrying them, dating them, reproducing with them, are there not better things to talk about? Are there no real issues in society or deeper conversation topics besides whether or not the guy you went out with last week left you on red? These conversations just make me so bored. Art, music, books, movies, travel, pets, literally any conversation topic is better or more interesting than men. When I make content about dating, honestly, I got sick of writing about it because it just seems so repetitive and dumb. Some men are great, but as a whole, they aren't that interesting. They're just there. Well, I quit dating apps and actively dating during COVID-19. I had a vibrant dating life prior with many relationships. When men found out that I lacked the ability and likely desire to have children, as well as do anything short of wiping their ass for them, those relationships fizzled quickly. While there is nothing wrong with someone choosing to be a stay-at-home spouse or parent, it should not be the default expectation of society that someone's gender should determine their course in life. Men are rarely asked if they will still be working when they become parents. However, most women that I know are. Men who do housework or childcare-related activities are praised, while women are expected to perform these tasks gladly. Across the world, women seem to be collectively done, and honestly, I'm here for it. Unless men are willing to do better, we should not settle. While there are good men out there who are educating themselves and trying to be better, they seem few and far between. In modern society, marriage seems nearly pointless when it feels like an obligation. If I'm expected to make my own money, contribute financially, be a man's maid, sex toy, and brooder house, what the hell is the point? As usual, please let me know what you think of this newest episode, and please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and check out the resources in my show notes. Thank you, and talk to you soon.